Now, WJC's Purple Playbook brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome into Purple Playbook. I'm Alex Glaze, joined by two-time Super Bowl champion Torrey Smith. It's the bye week, and Torrey, I don't think there's a team that needed the bye more than the Baltimore Ravens.
Man, it came at the perfect time. You know, early on when you get your schedule as a player, you're like, I want a late bye or maybe a perfect right in the middle of the season. But right now, the earlier one paid off in the favor of this team. We knew going into the season it was going to be a tough start schedule-wise, but no one predicted the amount of injuries. So this bye week comes at a great time. It allowed guys to get away from the game, but also it allowed those guys that are injured to get back focused so they can have a strong push to try to close out and try to have a special end to the season.
Health has to be the top priority during the bye. We're going to get more into that in a second. But the Ravens right now 1-5 on a 4-game losing streak. Not the start anyone expected for this team. Only 4 teams in NFL history have made it to the postseason after starting the season 1-5. But John Harbaugh believes that his team could beat the odds and be that 5th team.
You want to do a bye week now. Our focus going forward and what we can accomplish for the next 11 games and try to earn our way into the playoffs, which obviously, as pointed out last night, has not been done very often with the record we have, but we still believe we can do it.
It's crazy to think, but the season's not over. Hanging on by a thread, but not over just yet. When you hear John talking playoffs, obviously he has to have that mentality, but do you think it's possible for this team to make that kind of run to really make it to the postseason?
I do think it is, right? And that's not awful. I think they lost some key guys, right? But the reality of it is if this team is healthy, going into the season, everyone predicted that this was one of the best teams in the league. Arguably one of the best rosters the Baltimore Ravens have had ever, right? Obviously injuries, and you still got to go out there and play the game. But when I think about this team, I still go back to the first 2 games of the season. They're a play or 2 away from starting off the season 2-0. Now, that's NFL football. It can go that way each and every year. That's just, winning is hard, right? You have to be able to close it out. But understanding that with the momentum that they have, the hunger they have, the leaders they have, and the players that they have, you would like to think with Lamar Jackson coming back, your team stands a chance. And this is a team that has proven that they can go on those special type runs that you need. If this team gets to 10 wins, they can get in the playoffs. The AFC stinks as a whole, which is great. So if you're a Ravens fan, you need to cheer and keep hoping that everyone else loses, which means that some of those wild card spots to get in might be a little bit lower. But for this team right now, they have to focus one game at a time. And with Lamar coming back healthy, hopefully off of this bye week, I think anything's game with him in.
A down year for the AFC, and also down for the AFC North right now, too. The Ravens with the second best odds to win the division. When you're looking at the division, there's Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers, a 40-year-old quarterback. There's the Bengals still without Joe Burrow, and then there's the Browns. So the opportunity to win the division is still there, and that path to the playoffs is still there's 5 division games on the schedule, so that path is still there also.
Yeah, it's still there, but it takes a lot, man. It takes a lot, and again, the biggest thing is to start off early with some wins and then let it count later, right? Like, because it's hard. Like, again, we always talk about you have to be able to break. If you focus on the fact that it's 1-5, it's going to blow your mind, right? But there are a lot of games left, and you have the opportunity. Now you're going a 6-0 run, right? 5-1 run, right? You only have 2 losses to give yourself a fair shot. So it's going to be fun watching it all play out.
What do you say to people? You've obviously played the game at a high level, at the highest level, and reached that mountaintop. What do you say to people who maybe feel like this is already a lost season when you think that the measuring stick for this year was the Chiefs, it was the Bills, and we've seen how those games looked. And making the postseason, I mean, that's not what anyone cares about here in Baltimore. It's about making it to the AFC Championship game and getting over the hump and winning and making it to the Super Bowl. There's a lot of people, I think, that already consider this kind of a lost season. What do you say to people?
Yeah, I don't think you think. I think you're right. You know, I think a lot of people have written this team off. They've written Coach Harbaugh off. They've written so many different people off with this team this season, but it's not over, right? I'm old enough to remember in 2011 when the New York Giants had the worst record, snuck into the playoffs somehow, and went on to win the Super Bowl, right? I believe they had 9 wins, right? Maybe even 8. But they had a low amount of wins in comparison to everyone else, and they went and got it done. So it's not about how you get there. It's about what you do, earning your way there, and what you do when you get there. So for this team, if they put together a special finish to the season and make the playoffs, we always say the best team doesn't always win, the hottest team wins. And this will be a team that for sure is hot if they have the ability to make the playoffs late. And some people are like, well, is that going to be enough? I remember when we won the Super Bowl in 2012. I believe we went 1-5 our last stretch of games, right? So just because your record or there's a streak or you're playing numbers, it doesn't matter. How are you playing and what are you capable of? And at the end of the day, when the playoffs hit, how do you play on that day? So there's a long way for this team to get there, but you have to take it 1 week at a time, and I believe the talent is there to get it done. It's just about doing it.
One thing I did learn over this couple of stretch games with Lamar out, two games Lamar's been out, right? The next time Lamar goes in and is having these extension talks, these contract negotiations, Lamar Jackson's next contract is going to be fully guaranteed. There's no question about that. I feel very confident in saying his next contract, fully guaranteed, no question about it. We know how it went. We're seeing the arbitration documents over the summer. It's how, some of the text messages and how Eric DeCosta was against that. And, then Lamar's microphone's not working on his phone. I don't think that the Ravens have no leverage. We see what this team looks like without Lamar out there. I think that he's going to get that blank check. It's going to be fully guaranteed.
Hey, man, like anything in life, you don't know what you have till it's gone, right? And I think having the opportunity to your value, we like to think your value in the head. Hey, man, this is a guy that should have had his third MVP. He's improved his value by literally not being on the field. So having a guy like that is a big deal, and it's noticeable. You like to think, and I know it's not just us talking. I know fans who are still not that impressed with Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. And you think anybody can slide in and do what he does. I say this each and every week when we watch the film. Lamar Jackson does superhuman stuff and makes it look regular because you see it weekly in Baltimore. He's not a normal player. The way he plays the game is not normal. And you don't just slide somebody in and expect them to have that type of productivity. Again, we're talking about a team that you're questioning their offensive line. You're questioning their everyone, literally, on the offensive side of the ball, talent-wise. You're questioning the defense and what they have. But 2 weeks into the season, this was the number one offense in the league, right, when Lamar Jackson was there. So I think it's important to keep things into perspective. But, again, I say this all the time. We're lucky to have Lamar, and everyone should be grateful that he's in Baltimore.
It's not even about what he does on the field. It's what he also masks. We're talking about the offensive line, that they are who they are. Without Lamar out there, there's a lot of sacks. There's those pressures. The run game is impacted when Lamar's not in there. So people are talking about Derrick Henry now. Is Derrick Henry,
Right, now magically Derrick Henry's not good
now
enough.
Derrick Henry can't get his stuff off. So it's like the things that Lamar opens up opportunity-wise for other people and masks also, I think, are factored into this. So, I don't think there's much. I don't think there's going to be any discussion. No text messages or anything. Lamar just needs to sit there and just look.
They're going to have to pay the man. They're going to have to pay the man for sure.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the defense and some of the improvements on that side of the ball that need to happen with 11 games left in the season and the Ravens looking to make a push. Stay with us. More Purple Playbook after this.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The winning prognosis, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. Alex Glaze alongside two-time Super Bowl champion Torrey Smith. Torrey, listen, this is not me talking. This isn't an opinion, just a fact. When you look at the numbers, the Ravens' defense has been one of the worst throughout the season heading into Week 6. But they turned a corner, I think, against the Rams. They had been giving up, I think they'd given up 37 or more points in every game before the Rams game. They hold the Rams offense, with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, to just 17 points. What did you see from the defense in that game that gave you some encouragement, I guess, moving forward?
Pressure. Saw a little bit of that. I think being able to play with three safeties that you trust was a big deal. Saw Kyle Hamilton being very active and allowing him to kind of be that Swiss Army knife that you need. But you have to give credit to the big guys up front, right? We've been talking for weeks about how they weren't able to manufacture any pressure, how they were literally getting physically dominated, which isn't something that we are accustomed to seeing out of a Baltimore Ravens defense. But guys are making plays, and you have to give credit when credit's due. I think understanding the situation when your defense is struggling, the biggest way to protect them is by keeping the ball on offense, and that just simply wasn't happening enough as well. I think really the dagger there was at halftime, right? This Rams team was still a little slow, still trying to wake up, and then at halftime, you figure out a way to not get in from the 1 yard line. I truly believe if there's a touchdown there and you come out of half and the score is you're up now at that point, I think it's a completely different ballgame.
A massive swing because they don't score there, and then the Rams come out and score on the opening drive of the half there, so obviously a big swing. But Torrey, we know this business, football is a business, and there's been a lot of outside noise and a lot of outside talk about this defense and specifically defensive coordinator Zach Orr and his job security. And Zach is aware of that, and he said he doesn't pay attention to any of it, but he has heard the support from head coach John Harbaugh, and earlier this week he spoke about what that support means to him.
It means a lot to me that he supported me because, he's part of he's the reason why I'm here, and I want to do right by him. He doesn't have to. I understand. I'm grown. I got to be better. We got to be better as a defense, and he's just being a mentor, a father figure for me for taking a lot of the heat off of me, and I appreciate that, man. I can't thank him enough, and it's something I'm gonna remember, forever.
I'm going to choose to believe that John Harbaugh knows more about football than fans. I'm going to choose to believe that John Harbaugh knows more about football, or that we also know a little bit more than fans. And when we talk to players, they also are putting it on themselves. They're not putting it on Zio. They're saying Zach's doing a great job, the coaches are doing a great job. They're not executing. But when you hear that John is giving that support to Zach, just kind of what does that tell you about behind the scenes, how close that coaching group is?
I mean, it's a big deal. At a time when you're literally seeing people firing people left and right to say, hey, it's not me, right? The first thing it says when you start firing guys is that something's right and it's not me. It's who I have. And I think there's no single person in that building that believes that all of a sudden this system doesn't work, right? Like it's figured out. And when you watch it on film, it's simply execution. Certain things that were happening before. Great pass rush by individuals winning, not happening, right? It makes it harder for the guys on the back end. So I think I say this all the time. If you show me a great defensive line, I'll show you a great secondary. And that's what we thought was going to happen coming into the season. Some guys were going to be able to step up, get more individual pass rush, obviously with Kyle Hamilton, being able to use him as a Swiss Army knife. And you had a secondary that we believed was the number one secondary in the league coming in. None of these things have been true so far, which puts a lot of pressure on the coach. But remember, everything that was all hyped up was about personnel. Personnel hasn't delivered, and now we're saying, hey, it's the coach, the same coach that last year turned it around and had the best defense in the league. So I think it just matters, but also a thing that I believe is lost, and I don't think people truly understand. It's so easy to point the finger at the person with the title. But every single defensive coach on that staff is involved with the ideas and the plans that are coming into play. It's not like it's one person saying, hey, I run this, I'm going to do this, and you guys just coach your positions, right? Like, the D coordinator for sure has the ultimate control to make the decisions, but everyone's putting together a plan. So the idea that suddenly Coach Pagano doesn't know what he's doing, suddenly Coach DP, he's like, if you don't believe those guys are involved in this process, right, I have my island in Arizona I can sell you, right? It's just simply not true. So I think right now it's on everyone to be better. Absolutely.
There's a reason why everyone's wearing those headsets during the games, right? But you spoke to it about the ability of bringing in that third safety. Alohi Gilman comes in that trade. Kind of a little bit of a timely trade, right? Moving Odafe Owe to the Chargers and getting Gilman now being able to free Kyle Hamilton up, move your best player closer to the line of scrimmage and have him closer to the ball at all times. Chuck Pagano spoke this week about how Gilman's impact is already being felt.
He's a menace. So now you put that guy in and around the line of scrimmage from an account standpoint. I mean, they have to know exactly where he's at, not only in coverage, but is he coming, is he not coming, those type of things. And then, again, Lowe coming in and working with Malachi, the communication, it was different, felt different, looked different. I'm sure it did to you guys as well.
It's interesting because this reminds me of last year when we're talking about our Darius Washington being implemented and then the shift with Kyle Hamilton as well. This year, obviously Ardarius started off the season injured. Malachi got thrusted in. I don't think Sanusi Kane panned out to maybe what they wanted. Jalen Arbor-Davis didn't even make the team. So they probably had plans for that secondary that just didn't work out. Starting Kyle Hamilton back deep safety probably wasn't their initial plan. So now they're able to get back to probably what they wanted to do from the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. Like you mentioned the change from last year. I believe last year is the perfect example to watch, right? Now, it was only 4 games or so.
Sure.
But when you look at it and you watch it, you're like, hey, this is the same staff that was able to put together that group, right? And the majority of the players are really similar there as well, like guys that you can trust. But no, Justin Madubuike is a big deal. However, as a whole, people have the ability to think and process. It's just on the players to go out there and do it. But this defense is at its best when you have Kyle Hamilton being in a position to be a playmaker. When he's back there at the deep third, right, back roaming the middle of the field, he's not as good. That's not to say he's not good at doing it, but there are very few people in the history of the game who've been able to consistently impact the game. And by the way, doesn't mean that he can't impact the game back there, but he's not Ed Reed, right? And that's no disrespect. He's at his best when he's closer to the line of scrimmage and he's able to blitz. So if you can't manufacture pass rush by your individuals winning versus the offensive line, you have to add your Swiss Army knife in there and Kyle Hamilton and let him go to work. And that's why I'm comfortable saying that coming out of this bye week, they are going to have plenty of answers as to how to use their healthy personnel to try to go out and win some games.
And Alohi Gilman coming in on just a couple days of work and studying and already making that impact and playing a lot of plays last Sunday. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're playing Something or Nothing, and we're going to get Torrey's thoughts on the playing surface in Pittsburgh, a hot topic this week. Stay with us. More Purple Playbook after this.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The Bottom Line, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. It's time for Something or Nothing. Torrey, I'm going to throw out a topic. You tell me if it's something or nothing. Pretty self-explanatory there. Let's talk about the field conditions in Pittsburgh. A lot of outrage from players this week, from the Steelers and the Browns, about that playing surface out in Pittsburgh. The outrage, is that something or nothing?
It's definitely something. That field up there is terrible. It's awful. It's like one of the only fields where you felt you had to change the bottom of your studs to play there.
What is it about that? What is it?
It's sloppy. The grass is like overused. You might plant and your foot could slide. Like, it's extremely dangerous to play on. So it's one of those things where, like, you don't like turf. However, if your field's going to be used that much, it may need to be a stadium that needs to go to turf. Now, I'm smart enough to pay attention to what people say. We're talking about this because Ben Roethlisberger came out and said, hey, the Pitt needs to go somewhere else to play and actually build a stadium that fits the amount of fans that they actually have come to the game, right? They have nowhere near as many the amount of fans that come to the Steelers games. However, that stadium isn't built if it wasn't for the relationship between the Steelers and the University of Pittsburgh benefiting from it. So it's really tough to go out there and say that. But they need to put a turf down or something, even though I'm a grass guy. The reality of it is, up in Pittsburgh, even though we hate the Steelers, it is a city that needs economic opportunities, and therefore that field is being used. If you're going to do it that way, you might as well put turf on it so you can protect the players, because that is completely unsafe the way that grass looks.
Or the grounds crew would just be better.
Ain't no grounds crew in the world. That side is terrible. It's just not possible. The climate, it's just not possible.
It's just not possible. Okay.
It's just not possible.
All right, next in Miami, some trouble down in paradise there. Tua Tagovailoa got to the podium and started speaking the truth to the media, saying players were late to players-only meetings and guys need to tighten up. Just Tua airing it out in the media. Is that something or nothing?
This is definitely something, man. I don't want to say he broke a cardinal sin, but as a player, you can't throw people under the bus.
At the podium.
Yeah, like
not even anonymous.
We know like the amount of things I've lied to the media about to protect my teammates who are in the same mode of a sorry team like what Miami is experiencing. Like, you just take it with you, because now all that does is open a can of worms for guys like us. We're not even in Miami. And now we're like, who was late? Let's try to figure out who was the guy.
There was a tweet. Hold on. There was a tweet that was saying a guy that got a cup of coffee, Deshaun Hamilton, said, "Hey, when I was there, you were late. Tua was late to the meeting.
That's
players
what
only
I'm saying.
meeting.
It opens up a can of worms, and now you're talking about everything but the game. So there's definitely something to that because now you have guys in the locker room staring a hole through Tua.
If you're in that locker room, can you look at Tua the same, or is there any way coming back for him? Because he got up, I think, the next day and apologized. Is there any coming back?
Yeah, he's a sucker for that. Like, I mean, like you can't do that. Like, you just can't do it. I don't know what's the most political and proper way to say this on television.
So basically, no.
But you can't do that. You just can't do that.
QB1, 2, tough. All right, we're going to take a quick break and wrap up the show. When we come back, this is Purple Playbook. Stay with us.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. Now, WJC's Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. Before we wrap the show, got to give you a little shout out. Opening up that rec center in West Baltimore in partnership with the Ravens and your Level 82 Foundation. Just a really special moment. And I'm sure you're already feeling the love from the community.
Man, it's pretty cool, man. Baltimore Ravens Boys, the Girls Club is now, we'll be open soon with kids, but the ribbon cutting was a week ago, and it's a truly special experience. Mr. Bashadi has been very committed to the city for a long time. So to take a big step in that way to give to the community over in West Baltimore, it's extremely exciting, man. We had some great memories there, and being out there now, knowing what that building looked like before, and the programs we were running there with after school and summer, to now know what it's going to look like at the Boys and Girls Club it's pretty crazy. It's surreal, honestly, but it's a major blessing for the city.
A lot of great spaces for the kids. You got a tutoring center, a fitness center. You know, you have Steph Curry donated the basketball courts outside, Dick Cass Field out there as well for the football and anything on the turf. So a lot of stuff for the kids out there. So congratulations to you. Awesome stuff. And that'll do it for this week's Purple Playbook. For Torrey Smith, I'm Alex Glaze. We do this show every week, and we will be back next week talking football. Bye week's over. Have a good night.